The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, top US officials to visit Sri Lanka this month. Reaffirming support for economic recovery mentioned. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka is pushing for tighter regulations on SIM reissuance due to the rise in fraudsters targeting online banking accounts. Positive trend in stock market continues for the second day, marking a departure from recent lows. And China's economy marks progress as imports and exports return to growth.
From Studio 24, here's Sina Mayadune.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs Donald Lu is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka this week as part of his broader tour of the region from 10th to the 15th of May, which includes India and Bangladesh. The U.S. State Department said in a statement that his trip will strengthen bilateral cooperation with each country and demonstrate U.S. support for a free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. He will travel to Colombo to engage with officials from across the political spectrum and deepen the United States partnership with Sri Lanka. In his meetings, he will reaffirm the United States' support for Sri Lanka's economic recovery, as well as the importance of a robust civil society as a cornerstone of a free and democratic society. Joining a panel discussion, Dr. Nandanal Veerasinghe, the governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, explained the challenges that the country would face on its journey towards sustainable development and economic stability.
As we move forward in 2024, what do you see as the three most pressing challenges confronting the Sri Lankan economy?
While restoring this sustainability, there are few things that we need to accomplish yet. One is to complete the external debt restructuring process. DDO part has already been completed. There are few parts with the CPC, and the external part is obviously with the bilateral. We have agreement in principles. We are in the process of finalizing the agreement, the memorandum MOU signing, and both with OCC and also with China. So that also we are making good progress. We have made good progress already. So we hope that we can complete. And also the other part is commercial creditors. Partly one is a CDB. We are making good progress. Whereas in all the other side, again, with the ISP, the group representatives of the committee, we are engaging in good faith and making good progress. So we had first round of engagement openly, and then we continue to have this engagement, and we hope that we can complete that. That's a short-term, immediate kind of a short-term kind of a thing we want to complete. And then obviously the completion of the review with the IMF is also an important milestone that will give more confidence and kind of endorsement that we move in the right direction in terms of policies that we are committed under the program. And we need to move in the same direction to ensure that you give markets and the public the confidence that we are in the right direction in both, also getting support from multilateral agencies, as well as once we complete the exercise, we hope that we will get a lot more support from our bilateral partners in terms of the official creditors, bilateral official creditors. So that's the next immediate steps that we need to follow in short term, and only that medium to long term we need to maintain the kind of a program that we have embarked on. Then we need to continue that.
Sri Lanka's automobile assembly is experiencing significant growth and development with the involvement of world-renowned brands including Hyundai, Proton, Tata, Lanka Ashok Leyland, etc., emphasizing the favorable environment for investment.
The approval to assemble a wide range of vehicles, including SUVs, cars, two-wheelers, double cabs, trucks and buses, have paved the way for a diversified automobile assembly industry in the country, catering to various consumer needs. More than 4 assemblers including JSC and Photon will be starting assembly in Sri Lanka, and by the end of the year more than 30 assemblers will be in operation in the local automobile industry. The world-renowned assemblers must provide a domestic value addition of more than 20% by using locally manufactured automobile components. Many of the local component manufacturers have gone through an extensive product development and product approval process to maintain the global original equipment standards maintained by the international brands. With an increase in both component manufacturing and assembly, the industry is poised for a period of further expansion.
Sri Lanka's central bank is in discussions with the telecom regulator to tighten the reissue of mobile subscriber identification modules or SIMs as part of efforts to stop mobile phone banking fraud.
The central bank, together with the banks, are tightening security on an ongoing basis as hackers and other fraudsters develop new ways to defraud customers. One such method is to reissue a mobile SIM of a mobile phone banking customer whose account number and telephone number is known to the fraudster by persuading a mobile phone agent to reissue a SIM claiming it has been lost without submitting an identity card in person. In late evening, a new chip is activated and the fraudster logs onto the account, issues a new password through a one-time password sent to the newly issued SIM and takes all the money out. The central bank is in discussion with the telecom regulator to get all the operators to tighten the reissue of SIMs so that they cannot be issued to a person who is not the actual owner.
Moving on to a commercial break now, this is an Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The positive trend at the Colombo Stock Exchange extended into the second day, making a departure from the recent streak of lows. Both the All-Share Price Index and the S&P SL 20 Index recorded notable gains today, reflecting a promising turnaround in market sentiment. For a breakdown of data on today's trading, here's Rishita Pereira from SC Securities.
Yes. Today, the All-Share Price Index closed at 12,518 points, an increase of 122 points, and the S&P SL 20 Index closed at 3,753 points, with an increase of 62 points. Both indices recorded substantial gains as investors were bullish on the banking and non-banking finance sectors, backed by hope of successful debt restructuring negotiations, and the construction sector backed by strong earnings potential in construction sector shares. The turnover was recorded at 2.575 billion with a shares traded volume of 111.38 million. Significant crossings for the day were 160,000 shares of 8 Spence PLC with a turnover of 21.2 million, 500,000 shares of Hades PLC with a turnover of 47 million, and 21,000 shares of Ceylon Tobacco Company with a turnover of 27.3 million.
Well, this week has been a mix for the Colombo Stock Exchange as it records lows for 3 consecutive days in the beginning of the week, but was able to conclude the week in the green. To get a wrap-up of this week's trading, here's Ranjan Ranatunga from First Capital Holdings standing by.
On the weekly stock market wrap-up, the SPI recorded a week-on-week gain of 0.9% for the week, while the S&P SL 20 recorded a growth of 1.7% for the week. The turnover for the week was recorded at 2.4 billion against a weekly average of 1.8 billion saw during the previous week. However, on a year-to-date basis, the turnover has come down slightly from 3.1 billion, mostly due to profit taking that we have seen during the early part of the week. However, in terms of the top contributors, Brown's Investment saw increased investor activity during the day, with interest mainly coming due to the announcement made on the CESC regarding acquisition of plantations in Kenya, Tanzania as well as Rwanda. While interest was also visible on John Keel's Holdings as well as Royal Ceramics during the week. Also, there was increased activity during the week on Sunshine Holdings, mainly due to the announcement made on CSC regarding the investment from International Finance Corporation to Sunshine Healthcare Limited. Meanwhile, the market for the week was dominated by retail, while selective interest was seen on the high net worth front, on the banking as well as the blue chip counters.
Gold prices strengthened today and are on track for their best week since early April as weak U.S. employment figures fueled bets of interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve this year. Spot gold gained 1.1% to $2,372.16 per ounce, hitting its highest in more than 2 weeks. Prices have risen over 3% so far in the week. U.S. gold futures jumped 1.7% to $2,379. The yellow metal surged yesterday after data showed a bigger than expected increase in weekly U.S. jobless claims. U.S. Treasury yields fell sharply yesterday, as did the dollar, factoring into stronger metal prices across the board. Moving on to oil prices now, global benchmark Brent hovered above $84 a barrel today after data this week signaled growing demand in the US and China, the world's two biggest crude users, while festering conflict in the Middle East added support. Brent futures were up 51 cents to $84.39 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 57 cents to $79.83. Falling U.S. crude inventories spurred by higher refinery runs coincided with data released yesterday showing China's oil imports in April were higher than last year on signs of improving trade activity. The Sri Lankan rupee remains steady against the US dollar today compared to yesterday, according to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the buying rate of the US dollar has dropped from 293 rupees and 82 cents to 293 rupees and 72 cents, while the selling rate has increased from 303 rupees and 37 cents to 303 rupees and 38 cents. The rupee has, however, depreciated against a number of foreign currencies, while it has appreciated against the Gulf currencies. Let's see how the rupee performed today. Short commercial break now. Corporate world news on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back. Litrogas ceremonially commissioned its state-of-the-art refurbished and upgraded storage and bottling facility at Mabima Sapukaskanda. The ceremony was presided over by President's Chief of Staff and National Security Advisor Sagar Ratnayaka.
Recognized as one of the largest in the region, the Mabima facility reinforces Litrogas's commitment to operational excellence and national energy security. Commissioned in 1984 by Colombo Water and Gas Company, the Mabima filling plant has been completely refurbished after 40 years to meet international operation and safety standards, enhancing efficiency. The refurbishment and upgrading of the Mabima facility, which cost a little over Rs 1 billion, will ensure bottling and distribution efficiency for another 10 to 15 years for the country. The refurbishment and upgrading of the Mabima facility, which cost a little over 1 billion rupees, will ensure bottling and distribution efficiency for another 10 to 15 years for the country. Mabima will play a vital role alongside the Keravalapitia plant, reducing dependency on the Keravalapitia filling plant, which was commissioned in 2014. Litro said Mabima will strengthen the supply and distribution along the Keravalapitia to fulfill the increase in demand for LPG in the country, creating jobs and export income.
Kaspersky introduced its new flagship product line, Kaspersky Next, in Sri Lanka, combining robust endpoint protection with the transparency and speed of endpoint detection and response alongside the visibility and powerful tools of XDR.
Customers can now choose one of 3 product tiers tailored to their business requirements, the complexity of their IT infrastructure, and the available resources. Amid the constantly evolving cyber threat landscape, it is vital for companies to have a comprehensive cybersecurity solution they can trust and rely for effective protection. In 2023, Kaspersky products detected 15 million local incidents on the computers of Kaspersky security network participants in Sri Lanka. Overall, 46.7% of users in Sri Lanka were targeted by local threats during this period. According to Enterprise Strategy Group's XDR and SOC modernization report, businesses are still struggling to find information security tools that can be detected and investigate advanced threats on time. As a leading innovative and technological company, Kaspersky is continuously developing its solutions to address all the cybersecurity requirements of businesses, helping them to build up reliable cybersecurity frameworks. As a leading innovative and technology company, Kaspersky is continuously developing its solutions to address all the cybersecurity requirements of businesses, helping them build up reliable cybersecurity frameworks.
The Build Sri Lanka Housing and Construction International Exhibition of today at the Sirimavo Bandaranayake Memorial Exhibition Centre at BMSCH, Colombo.
The exhibition will span 3 days, including today, the 10th of May, the 11th of May and the 12th of May. The event will be graced by the President, the Chinese Ambassador and the Minister of Urban Development and Housing. With almost 280 exhibition stalls covering various industries associated with building and construction, the exhibition is said to be comprehensive. Organizers have highlighted that this will be a great opportunity for industry professionals to meet, develop relations, build business connections, and gain updated insights into the latest and innovative industry-related technologies. Moreover, international retailers will also have exhibition stalls. This year's version boasts some unique features, including 3 dedicated stalls for the Sri Lankan Army, Navy and Air Force, a special Chinese exhibition center, and a dedicated stall for the SME sector.
Uber, the global rides, food and grocery delivery platform, today hosted Uber Springboard, an initiative to encourage Sri Lankan startups to strengthen the country's entrepreneurial ecosystem. With support from the Ministry of Technology, Government of Sri Lanka, Uber has selected 3 startups from a tech startup competition that are set to travel to Uber's Center of Excellence in India for a mentorship program. Uber's tech leaders interacted with 26 Sri Lankan startups, and after a rigorous evaluation process, the jury of Uber Springboard has selected 3 startups for further mentorship, which includes K-Reader, Mankiwa and Magic. K-Reader offers a subscription-based digital reading framework for local languages in Sri Lanka, while Mankiwa is a platform that bridges the gap between citizens and government authorities. Magic, founded by a 16-year-old, is an innovative AI-driven education tech platform personalized for maths learning in Sri Lanka. Miraclon, a global flexographic printing industry known for its cutting-edge plate making and pre-press technologies, has chosen ALFT packaging to showcase its business and technological advancements.
Miraclon, with operations across 180 countries and a vast customer base of over 25,000, is driving a force behind the transformation of modern flexography for more than a decade. Miraclon has designated Sri Lankan company ALFT as a lighthouse project, a distinction reserved for only a handful of companies worldwide. The recognition highlights ALFT's role as a testing ground for Miraclon's innovative technologies. Chosen as a champion of modern flexo by Miraclon, ALFT packaging will be a part of the Miraclon booth at the upcoming DRUPE exhibition in May. The DRUPE exhibition is widely regarded as the world's largest event for printing and packaging industry. ALFT will be among several case studies displayed.
Let's go for a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Hong Kong led Asia-Pacific stocks higher on Friday as markets tracked Wall Street gains, with renewed hopes for rate cuts by the US Federal Reserve bolstering market sentiment. The Hang Seng Index hit its highest level in 10 months, up 2.32%. Mainland China's CSI 300 marginally rose to hit its highest level since October 2023, ending at 3,666.27. Japan's Nikkei 225 rose 0.41% to end at 38,229.11, while the broad-based Topix gained 0.54% to close at 2,728.21. South Korea's Kospi closed at 0.57% higher at 2,727.63. The Australian S&P ASX 200 ended up 0.35% at 7,749. On U.S. stocks, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed higher yesterday as well for the 7th straight daily advance for the benchmark. All three major U.S. indices gained after weekly jobless claims data offered fresh hope for interest rate cuts.
Wall Street closed higher Thursday after weekly jobless claims data offered fresh hope for interest rate cuts. The Dow rose nearly 0.9%, its 7th straight day of gains. The S&P 500 added 0.5%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq climbed almost 0.3%. The number of Americans filing new claims for unemployment benefits increased more than expected to a seasonally adjusted 231,000 last week. It follows data from last week showing slowing job growth in April and job openings falling to a 3-year low in March. This has renewed hopes the Federal Reserve will reduce its benchmark interest rate as soon as September. Stocks on the move included ARM Holdings. The semiconductor designer slid 2% as its full-year revenue forecast came in below expectations. And shares of Robinhood Markets fell 3%, despite the online brokerage beating estimates for first quarter profit, thanks to robust crypto trading volumes and rate hikes that boosted its net interest revenue.
China's exports and imports returned to growth last month after contracting in the month of March, signaling an encouraging improvement in demand at home and overseas.
China's imports and exports returned to growth in April after contracting the previous month. It signals an encouraging upturn in domestic and overseas demand as Beijing tries to shore up a shaky economy. The data suggests a slew of support measures may have helped to stabilise both investor and consumer confidence. But analysts remain sceptical about the sustainability of this trade bounce. Shipments from China grew 1.5% year-on-year last month by value, in line with expectations, having fallen 7.5% in March, the first contraction since November. Imports for April increased a forecast-beating 8.4%, reversing a 1.9% fall in March. As the first quarter of the year saw imports and exports rise year-on-year, those weak March figures had led to concerns momentum could be faltering again. Most commentators say Beijing has a tough job to improve confidence. Consumer inflation, producer prices and bank lending for March showed the world's number 2 economy has vulnerabilities. Alongside this, a protracted property crisis remains a drag on overall confidence, spurring calls for more policy stimulus. Beijing has set an economic growth target for 2024 of around 5%, which many analysts say will be a challenge to achieve without much more stimulus.
The Bank of England took another step towards lowering interest rates as a second official backed a cut, and Governor Andrew Bailey said he was optimistic that things are moving in the right direction.
The Bank of England took another step towards lowering interest rates on Thursday. A second official supported a cut, and Governor Andrew Bailey said more could be on the way than investors expect.
The big global shocks that caused inflation to rise have faded. And monetary policy is working to bring inflation back towards the 2% target. Inflation has now fallen to just above 3%, and we expect it to be close to the target in the coming months. And that's encouraging. But we are not yet at a point where we can cut bank rates.
The central bank said its Monetary Policy Committee voted 7-2 to keep rates at a 16-year high of 5.25%. 2 members voted for a cut to 5%, but the bank has now kept rates on hold at 6 meetings in a row. It said it would watch the next rounds of economic data closely. From late 2021 and over a near 2-year period, the Bank of England, like other central banks, pushed up borrowing costs. It aimed to tackle a surge in inflation, which peaked at 11.1% a year and a half ago. Since then, headline inflation has fallen back. The bank expects it slow to around its 2% target in April, largely because of falling energy prices. But policymakers have been wary because of strong wage growth and services price inflation, though Bailey said the news on inflation had been encouraging. Financial markets have fully priced in a first quarter point cut by August. They also see another in November or December, taking the rate to 4.75%, followed by more cuts next year. Bailey said a change in the bank rate in June is neither ruled out nor a certainty. The next policy decision comes on June 20th.
OpenAI plans to announce its artificial intelligence-powered search product on Monday, raising the stakes in its competition with search king Google.
OpenAI plans to announce its own artificial intelligence-powered search product on Monday. That's according to sources familiar with the matter. It's a move that would raise the stakes in OpenAI's ability to compete with search giant Google. The announcement date, though subject to change, has not been previously reported. Bloomberg and The Information have reported that the Microsoft-backed AI firm is working on a search product to potentially rival Google and Perplexity, a billion-dollar AI search startup. OpenAI declined to comment. The company may be timing its announcement a day before the Tuesday start of Google's annual developer conference, where the tech titan is expected to unveil a slew of AI-related products. According to Bloomberg, OpenAI's search engine is based on its flagship ChatGPT product, but able to pull in direct information from the web and include citations. ChatGPT is OpenAI's chatbot that uses the company's cutting-edge AI models to generate human-like responses to text prompts. Industry observers have long called it an alternative for gathering online information, though it has struggled with providing accurate and real-time data from the web. An integration with Microsoft's Bing search engine was launched last year for paid subscribers.
Well, with that, we move to the end of the final bulletin of the Nightly Business Report for this week. We'll see you again on Monday with the latest news across the business world. I'm Sina Mayadurne. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend. Good night.